career so far. Like 3 for 5, 2 RBIs, had a home run on the day, scored twice. Like that was the best I think I remember ever seeing him play. Really, um, it was the main part of the offense. The other part, Archie Conrad, hit a grand slam. It looks like 1 for 4, 4 RBIs. Offense split around between Phil and Tygo. Then Daquan Smith had a few RBIs. But yeah, the Gauchos it's a lot of bad luck or something, tailwind going over. Levi Booth looked okay, but just like people, these things are just getting hit straight to people, kind of.
Fun fact to iterate the point that I brought up as well. The Legends are currently 7-0 against Icons teams
Wow.
so far this season. This was the second, and the Lumberjacks only faced 2 teams this season, and they're Wrongfielders and Gauchos. Vikings have beaten the Overdrafts as well as the Retrievers, which are both not walkovers. I mean, we'll talk about the walkers over Moonshots. We'll talk about the Vikings over Overdrafts as well. We'll talk about Dragons over Gauchos, but it's just the Heroic Legends teams. Like, I don't mean to be biased, but they're pretty good. they're pretty well built.
Something I noticed when I was recording the stats down, Truly White Claw had an infinity ERA. She did not record an out and gave up 6 earned. Pretty impressive.
Oi,
Oh,
that's no. We're all good. We're all good. My entire thing is falling apart over here, but we're fine. Yeah, no. I mean, White Claw. It, it's just like we need more games in the season to really be able to draw a fair knowledge base, right? But
I mean,
it,
I honestly think that's White Claw's purpose. She's like the sacrificial lamb of the Gauchos bullpen. Like she's the one to get lit up and let this happen, more or less.
yeah, and again, it's not even like they have the worst pitching and worst bullpen in that division either.
Mm-hmm. Steel Flex looking pretty good. 6 1/3, 7 strikeouts. Only 2 earned off looks like a home run. Pretty solid day for him. Grayweather gave up 1 in relief, and then Fingus closed it out. Pretty much all to talk about there. Go on to game number 2, Angels High Rollers.
If I remember correctly, this is the one where I said the biggest guarantee this week was High Rollers over Angels. Was not as much of a guarantee.
Yeah, 3-1 game. I mean, I expected this game to be a well-fought battle. I did not think it was going to be a 3-1 pitching duel. That was rather surprising.
Yeah, especially because I've always associated, especially Epic Phenoms. I always associate that with high scoring battles. Just in general in the Epic, I always convey it as a high scoring affair. But I mean, only giving up 1 to an Angels team that had scored 5 against the Serpents, with 5 against oh gosh, who's their starter?
Sammy Green.
Yeah, it's against Sammy Green, and then obviously for the High Rollers, like they were only limited to 3, given the fact that they put up 6 against the starter for when y'all faced week 1, day 1. So I was much more expecting a high scoring affair here.
Yeah, both of the starters went 8 innings. Rainy Getty for the Angels, 8 innings, only 6 hits, 3 earned, a walk, 2 strikeouts, gave up 2 home runs. Bryn Campbell, the offseason acquisition for the High Rollers, a fairly similar line actually, 6 hits, but only 1 earned, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, no homers. Then Gillette gets the save with 1 inning of work, a hit, a walk, and a strikeout. But yeah, this was a pretty solid pitcher's duel. It was a pretty fast game too, from what I remember. Alicia Woody, Olivia Martinelli. Bottom third of the order, surprisingly for the Angels, was what got literally 6 of their 7 hits. I mean, D. Nikki of all people. Like, Tina Taigo 0 for 4 in this game is surprising. Sophie as well, 0 for 3. She did a walk.
Real quick, I think it is safe to say when you look at the season 4 trade of Bocce and Haven, or Bocce or Haven and Getty for Faith and Bocce, it is very clear that the Angels won that trade. Getty was an all-star last season, and this season starts it out with an 8-inning affair, only giving up 3 runs. Like, she has pitched well above her pay grade for the Angels.
Yeah, it was surprising to see her do so well. Like, really didn't get into much trouble. It was just Vic Turnpike blasted one 2-run shot, it looks, and then Piston Omen also had a home run, and I mean that was really it. And I didn't take a capture of like the box score, but I mean really that was it. I can't remember if these were where they were in the game. But I mean honestly, this is what I expected. These two teams I still feel are on a pretty still fairly level playing field. I think these two teams are pretty close to one another.
I mean, I still give it to the High Rollers. I really do think the High Rollers are a better team than the Angels.
I mean, yes, because they won, but I don't think it's
But
a huge margin.
I honestly think it is. I really listen. I know the Angels won their first game of the season over the Serpents. I also know a lot of people rank the Serpents low in power rankings when I don't think the Serpents are that bad at all. But I just think the High Rollers are a more top down organization in terms of depth, more so than the Angels are. I still think that the Angels just don't have enough to have the next gear. And they play against the Skulls and the Unicorns next week. They're number 3 and they're number 4. So that proved me wrong, right? Like prove me wrong. Show me that you actually are in the same tier as the High Rollers. I just don't know if I've seen enough for them yet to make that.
I think these teams are kind of opposites of one another. Angels have depth, but it's in pitching, whereas High Rollers have depth, but it's on offense.
Oh, you know what? I have not considered the pitching depth of the High Rollers. I now see why you're making that argument. And I do think it has a lot more to it. I completely forgot the fact that they literally have nobody pitching wise.
I mean,
They still have to make a selection, don't they?
No, you're thinking of the ball players. And the
Oh.
overdrafts.
Oh yeah.
We need to
But
talk
still,
to the new guy.
yeah, but yeah, no. I do see that point. I still think the High Rollers have more depth. Overall, if I had to do a 5-game series against the High Rollers or against the Angels, I would choose the Angels every day. I would rather have that matchup.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. But I will say Gillette has come in a few times this season. I think he came in later this week against the ball players, correctly, and he's done okay. So maybe it's not quite as desperate as I make it out to be. This next game was crazy. Vikings win in extras 5-4. Vikings led most of this game. Then Cal Cooley lets it get tied. But then Vikings are able to walk it off in, I think it was the 10th inning.
I mean, this is a Vikings team that has always kind of hung around. Like they're a team that is deceptive. I don't think that people think that the Vikings are a really good team when they are a really good team. Because again, this is a retriever squad that is not really that much changed from their Super Series appearance last year. And I think the retrievers earned their Super Series appearance last year. So Vikings are good. The Vikings are a good team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they almost doubled the retrievers' hits. It was 11 hits to 6. 3 hits from Marshall, 2 from Briggs, another 2 from Driver. Driver's really bouncing back this season. He had a kind of off season, but has been really good at the plate. But it's come at the detriment of a couple other people's, like Noodles Nunez in this game. 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts. It's been win some, lose some for them offensively so far. And who was it? Was it Halladay? Yeah, Halladay looked pretty good. Gave up a 2-run massive shot to Iron Balls, I think it was, into left center. That went like 496 or something. Like, that thing was crushed. But she doesn't get the win. That's right, because Cooley blew it. But went 7 1/3. Only 3 hits, 2 earned, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Cooley with the win after blowing the save through 1 2. So it only went 9 innings. So this was just the bottom of the 9th. 1 2/3, 3 hits, an earned run. And actually, it's Peach Dropkin who gets the loss. 2 1/3, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, 2 strikeouts. A bit surprising that Dropkin does get the loss. She did kind of struggle in that last inning. Like when she got in, she was letting people get on, but it was I can't remember if it was like a pinch hit or if it was a defensive substitution that ended up putting French into center, and that ball just got over his head. That led to the game-winning run, if you remember.
Yeah, I think this, honestly, given everything that we have seen so far this season, this might be a divisional round matchup. I definitely see right now the Retrievers winning their division, and I definitely see the Vikings not necessarily winning the Legends, but still making it as the like I could see this being what divisions are, what, best of 5, best of 3?
It's
I think it's best
3, 3, 5, 7.
So I could see them meeting up for the first best of 3 or not the first best of 3, but the best of 3 in the division as a matchup. So this would be like the number 2 matchup between these teams. Or would it be the number 3? No, it'd be the number 2 because the Vikings, this was their second game, I believe, if I remember correctly. I can check.
Yes.
Yeah, that was it. So that'd be the number 2 versus number 2 for both sides. So I mean, and if this is how close it is, then that's a matchup I want to see if these teams hold kind of where they're at in the future. Goes to show like what some of these battles are going to look like towards as we get closer towards postseason. I know we're still in week 2, but you know.
Yeah, even though Gregory did struggle a bit in this game, I think she'll be able to bounce back, and it should be like really, really a good match if we do see these. I mean, well, no, we won't see them again in the regular season, but if they do find themselves in the playoffs, it will be a heck of a showing.
I do want to point out the conversation in the chat where the the High Rollers have a pitching total of 213 and the Angels have a pitching total of 203. And Louisville at 150. But what's funny is like Louisville is the one who gave up the 4 runs to the Serpents in that first game as well. But yeah, I mean, in a week in which we had a lot of blowouts, this was one of the few close games that we saw.
Have we seen Mans at all this season?
I don't think she's come because
I don't think so.
This was the second game for the Angels, so if she didn't come in there, then she didn't. I don't think she came in for the.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen her. I mean, her accuracy isn't great, but still, I'm surprised we haven't seen her because she is one of the better ones they have in that bullpen. Speaking of blowouts, we go to one of the big ones: Moonshots 15, Wrong Fielders 0.
At the time, our bar for, man, this is a huge blowout, Little did we know, but still, this was our margin for a blowout. And it just, I mean, look, when you have the starter is a free agency pickup,
Mm-hmm.
you have Hank Murphy and then you have Bijou Real. Like, this is what's going to happen when you have a free agency pickup as your number 3 starter. And that's nothing against the way the organization is being run. I think that just shows the pitching depth that the wrong fielders don't have.
Yeah. And even at that, Barry Good shut down the wrong fielder's offense. Only 6 hits, 4 of them coming from Woden Wayne and Drew Haven. Like, it was a stomping. And, like, 17 hits, 4 home runs. Hugh with 4 RBIs. Destroyer, 1 with 3 RBIs on the night. Crump, 3 RBIs. French Pastry also with 3 RBIs. I remember the one Pastry hit was an absolute rocket. That thing got out of there in like half a second. It was unbelievable.
And we had talked about how before this, Big Sky had seen their home teams go 0-3, and then there's this huge blowout, and then the next time that they have a game is Walker's moonshots. So no break for the home crowds either. They go, it's just an absolute roller coaster if you have a team in the Big Sky ballpark right now.
Let's see. So French Pastry, let me have French Pastry. So French Pastry was the round 1 of free agency pickup by the Moonshots, and doing fantastically well. 5 for 17, 4 runs, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, no walks, 2 strikeouts, batting .294 on the season. That's pretty good for someone who did not get drafted.
Ooh, I just realized I have access to the stats, don't I?
Yeah, it's in the Dropbox.
Look at that.
Very good. Complete game shutout. 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. And as you said, it was unfortunate when I was excited to see Hank Murphy come out again because he'd been doing so well. But then I remembered the Moonshots are like 2/3 switch hitters, so he never got a chance to really use his specialist trait. And we can see that he still really needs to rely on that with 6 earned on the night. Pretty rough outing for him. And it didn't get any better for the wrong fielders as they ended day 1 and started day 2. It looked okay to begin with. They jumped out to a 5-1 lead, but then saw that shrivel away as the game went on, and it was once again Hank Murphy, who did not have a great outing, ended up taking the loss. Went 4 2/3, only 4 hits, but had 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, 3 home runs. Was not able to keep the ball in the park, unfortunately. I think those were to like Gibbon and Sacred. I can't remember who might have been the other one. Hatman. Oh yeah, of course. Hatman had the walk-off, you idiot.
Yeah, Hatman doing Hatman things again. I also think that like it was just really funny because the game poll for the predictions for that was what was going to be the margin of runs scored by the Knights.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Romfetter just came out of nowhere and just were able to keep the Knights from doing what the Knights do is impressive. Like full stop, right? Like we can agree on that where it's like if you can keep the Knights from scoring everything, that is impressive because they have a lot of power.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a question of if they were going to prevent them from scoring runs, but how long was it going to last? And it just wasn't long enough. Not with the power that those bats had.
Yeah. I mean, especially in a ballpark like this, that's even though it's got the kind of the bigger walls in the corners, they're still really small. And I think it was in this game. Yeah, it was Carl Scott. I think we had his home run just kind of kiss off the foul pole. So like it's an accomplishment to keep runs down in this game, or in this park. I mean, but as I said, Hatman was the hero, walking her off in the bottom of the ninth with the 2-run shot. He was 2 for 4 on the day. Only 1, 2, 3, 4 people had hits for the Knights. Hatman had 2. Andy Gibbon had a home run. Ding Dong had a hit, and then Rockback had a home run, and then that was it. Surprising. They did have 8 walks. That's kind of surprising. And the thing is, it was really weird. Like, the wrong fielders scored early. Like, I think all 5 of their runs were within like the first 3 or 4 innings, and then Hurley found a zone and went, I think, at least 4 or 5 straight innings straight, like scoreless and potentially like facing the minimum through those innings. Like, he just like it just magic happened. It was really bizarre. Like, he just started churning through everyone.
Yeah, it was a shaky start, but that's I think why the Knights are one of the best teams is that is you need to get a lead and then you need to feel comfortable with it because like 14-6 over the Walkers. This win obviously against the wrong fielders coming back. The Knights and Vikings I think showed a little bit of a chunk of their play where until like the pitching gets a different patch, they're susceptible. And the Vikings very nearly came back, and we'll talk about that. But this is a nice team that will score runs. I will not be surprised if there is not a single game where they score less than 5 runs. They've got to at least score 6 or more every game. I feel like with just how powerful that offense is.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then we go to another blowout. Dragons 16, Walkers nothing. It was another Hannah Bradley special. Absolute gym. She threw what, like 110 pitches, I think it was.
Yeah, she went the distance. I mean, 3 hits, 7. She didn't even really start striking people out towards the end until the end of the game. And then she actually started striking people out. And Grubbs didn't do bad. I think they may have even pulled her a little bit too early. Like did give up 7 hits, but only had 3 earned runs through 4 innings. Honestly, not the end of the world given the way that the Dragons lineup is structured, but Sasso got lit up.
I wonder how many of those hits, between Grubbs and Sasso were misplays, because this was really where
There were so many defensive misplays.
We saw like it's Dallas, Texas, and Ronald Doctor, the middle infielders for the Walkers. They missed like 4 plays in this game or something, like just like easy routine plays. It was really bad, and that just what really hurt Grubbs and Sasso in this one. And they just weren't really able to recover.
And at that point, with the Walkers being 0-2, it definitely gave the feeling of, okay, are we actually considering them as a good team? And we'll talk about like with the next day of whether or not that was actually true. But this is the hitting that we were seeing. This game reminded me of the spring training game between the Dragons and the Serpents, where it was like, okay, guys, just so we all know, this is a good team, right? Like that was what that game kind of said. And through the first, part of the season, that's the way it seemed. And then there was that tail off choke. This was the first game back at Lafayette Corners since losing to the Overdrafts in the play-in game. So, like in front of the home fans, here's your first opportunity. Is this team actually changed its demeanor? And I mean, everyone got a hit except for Debbie Sawyer. And I still think it's really funny that Debbie Sawyer only has 2 hits this season, and both of them are home runs, and she's the leadoff batter. I still think that's really funny. No walks given up, by the way, as well by Bradley.
I mean, that's probably history since we've been in 3 alone. Like, game without a walk for one team, like, that's pretty damn rare now. All right, we go to the next game. This game went back and forth. High Rollers finally kind of took the lead late in the game and then was able to run away with it a bit. Ended up winning this one 11-7. These High Roller ball players games are always kind of interesting, and this game had our first injury of the season. Fitzmagic went down with elbow pain.
A killer, absolute killer. And he's a rookie too.
Yeah. We'll only end up missing one start. Their schedule is a bit favorable, but we'll be on the injured list. Actually, we need to start getting serious with that because ball players do, well, I guess it doesn't matter since he's a starter, but sooner rather than later we need to talk.
Well, we can't have we can't have a Ryzen on the roster. Because it's currently even if it's a starting pitcher with what we've seen with this game do, there needs to be some type of free agency acquisition to cover for it.
But it was a game where we saw quite a few rookie pitchers. Mishka Barker was the other starter for the High Rollers. Really struggled in this one. 2 2/3, 6 hits, 5 earned, 3 walks and a home run. But Donut is in the chat and is saying Floston will come up halfway through and thusly send Barker down. So interested to see how that will he also take the number 2 spot in the rotation? Got a curiosity. Then, like I was saying, Raul Gillette comes in for relief, ends up getting the win. Goes 2 1/3, 2 earned. Not fantastic, but not the end of the world. 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and then Tipsy Reynolds actually comes in and does what she's supposed to. Goes the rest of the game, 4 innings, giving up only 2 hits, striking out 2 other batters, ends up getting the save. And then 5 pitchers for the ball players. Magic only faced 4 batters. It was actually rolling pretty early. Got a strikeout, I think it was, of long stop. Got a second out pretty quickly. And then back-to-back walks. And then in the walk animation, we saw the injury, and that was it. And then Walker has a really bad day. Then we have K-Dud and BB-prone Ilya Page stinking things up, and then Washward and Hogwash finishing out the last 3 innings.
This is a concern for the ball players. Last season, they sold out to win last season, right? And they went 11-3. They did, and if I remember correctly, I can even look it up. They went 11-3. To end the season, they faced the Serpents, didn't they?
Yeah, in the playoffs. Yeah.
They let's see, ball players.
Lost 2-1.
So they went 11-3. Their last 2 games of the season were against the Serpents. Won 3-0, won 5-4. Flash forward to the first round of the playoffs in the wild card, and they lose 2-1. Like, all of that buildup for everything. Remember, they sold everything. In fact, the only reason why they even have draft picks is because I traded to get Oreo and Asiago. That was the only reason that they even had picks to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're starting to see, well, what are the long-term effects of that? Long-term effects of that are you have no pitchers in the minors to call up. You have to make a free agency acquisition for Fitzmagic. Ilya Page has both of those. Like, you have to keep Ilya Page right now, because as of right now, we don't have another free agency window. It is bad for this ball player's bullpen.
Yeah, in hindsight, I mean, K-Dud or whatever she had to begin with was bad. But, in trying to alleviate that, it goes from a player that is salvageable to a player that is basically, for all intents and purposes, dead. So it is a bit of a bad situation. I mean, they do have, of the pitchers that pitch in this game for the ball players, Magic is a rookie, Walker's a rookie, technically Page is a rookie, but
she won't be staying.
She won't probably turn into much of anything, but yeah, like they do have pitching problems with this roster going forward. Like, see.
The one thing about the ball players I will say is that they did well to, after they sold out last season, they said, okay, change of plans, and then got rid of a lot of the veterans. Cherry Thunder, Shipwright is starting and Shipwright isn't starting at times. But those are the only two season oneers on the roster who start. Saxton as well in, I don't even know if Saxton
isn't starting.
So he's on the bench. So yeah, so Ron Dozer. So they do have the ability. What are their draft picks?
I don't think they have any. Like legit, I don't think they have much of any.
Season 7. See, they don't have their round 1. They don't have their round 3. They don't have their round 2 for next draft. And then season 8, they don't have a pick.
Wait, I don't think they have any picks next season. Like 7, because
they have no picks in the season 7 or season 8 draft.
Yeah, that makes
which
sense.
Isn't a problem when you already have a young roster, but is a problem when you have no pitchers in your minors at all.
Right. When you're rolling with half your pitching staff in the majors being season oneers and you have no one to call up on.
Yeah, I'm with Large Marge in the chat. I'm surprised the ball players haven't traded for a pitcher. Like if you're not gonna have picks, then you're not gonna have picks. But you are not going to be able to win in this league if with that pitching rotation and that bullpen that they have right now. I think before Ilya Page got doxxed, maybe, but especially when she got double doxxed like that, it is very, very tough.
Yeah. See, but I mean, they do have some offensive pieces. Like Murph Kelly with another home run in this game is tied for the home run lead, I'm pretty sure. Harry Shelton's looking good. Dila Stick had a bit of an off game, but still at least had a hit. And then some of the older people, Shipwright had the homer. Terry Thunder looked really good, but like you said, he's old, so it's going to take a lot of moves for this ball players team to kind of rebuild for the next couple of seasons to try and level out the age of the team. But a big week for the High Rollers. They go 2-0 on the week. In some good games. One of them a division game, and the other one against a ball players team that is still pretty good. Old, but still pretty good. So a pretty solid week for the High Rollers and Donut. Then we go to the last game of day 2. Vikings beat the Overdrafts 6-4. This game, I think the Vikings had the lead for, I think, most of the game, if not all of it. Allowed the Overdrafts to hang around. Things got interesting in the 9th, but the Vikings were able to secure the win. Both teams had 10 hits. Overdrafts had 3 home runs, all of them solo shots. Moore, Basher, and Artisanal Long. Oh, and this was the game Amir Williams had like 2 horrific errors.
So badly that he got benched the next game, despite the fact that they were 3-0.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, they were easy plays too. Like it was a pop fly into like shallow center that he just dropped, and then like he dropped, what was it? I think it was the throw from the it was like an underhanded throw from the second baseman to turn an easy double play and just absolutely muffed it.
What is his fielding?
I don't know.
Williams. He's not on there. Okay, for some reason he's on their minors roster for me.
43.
I don't know why he's on the minors roster in this. That doesn't make any sense. We'll have to take a look at that. It might not have just been updated,
Yeah,
maybe?
I think that's probably it. Because there's a few of those.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but then you put in Riley Reed for the next game, which we'll talk about.
But let's see here. Vicky Marshall, 2 for 5. She's having a really good season. Donnie Driver, 4 hits in this one. He's crushing it. But then Noodles Nunez hitless with 2 strikeouts. Like Kwai Hatmore, for his stats and being a lefty hitter, he's awful. Like he's really bad. Like so far, and they had a game in day 3, but so far this excuse me, this season he's hitting 2 for 18 with 5 strikeouts. Hatmore, like Kwai Hatmore is, and he's like 80 something, like on both, I think. 71-99. 71-99 lefty, and he's hitting 2 for 18.
Yeah, that's not it. In any capacity.
And McMaster's really struggling too. Gage Deputy, I think, is the other person. I think Deputy and Kelly are the 2 people at the top right now with 3 home runs this season. I think she's had one in every game they've played. No, they've played 4 games, so every game but 1 then. Then this was another game. We had back-to-back games with injuries. Jorge Tostada also blows out his elbow. Went 2 innings, fairly clean, but that's a bigger hole to fill since he's a relief pitcher, and that's going to have to get situated one way or another. We're going to have to figure that one out.
And that's what's going to be interesting about this overdraft team. They've never been a bad team. They just never have had active managers.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that there's a new assistant manager, what is how active are they going to be? And are they going to put together things that honestly, that Heroic Icons division does not look as solid as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Especially now with the moonshots with where they are.
Mookie Astairs just begging to be called up. I think he went like 2 for 3 or 3 for 4 in their minor league game on Friday when those released. So he's just, I mean, especially because I was thinking about this when I was recording the stats. I think Astairs is center fielder. I mean, and look where Bush League's playing center field 0 for 4. Like, if you substitute him in there, another hit here or there, another person on base, and you might have a different story. Barnstormer giving up the same amount of earned runs in this game that he did all of last season. But still getting the win, still pitched pretty decently. I mean, it's hard to keep the ball in this stadium. I mean, and like those home runs were all those kinds of home runs. Like they were kind of cheap, I think. And then Margie Rex not having a great night. Tostada was good while he was in there. And then Anaya with a fairly clean outing, but didn't matter. Then we go to the last day of the week, and
let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. There are a lot of Dragons hitters that have 7 hits right now. I would actually say, so there's Gary Starr has 7, Libby Sickley has 7. Who else? Sponge Cooper has 7. I know Will Freishack has 7. 4 of the 9 batters in the Dragons lineup have 7 hits through 3 games.
And right now, you're sitting at 3 of the top 5 in RBIs. Sickley has 9. Esposito has 8, and so does Marzo. Sickley is actually in the league lead with 9.
Esposito has 8 as well. Yeah, I think I solved the hitting issue for the Dragons. I think making the trades to get Sickley and even strangely enough Sawyer, who still again only has 2 hits this season, both are home runs.
Mhm.
I think that the lineup is solid for in terms of the hitting. We'll see if the pitching matches up because they did give up 4 runs in the end there. But yes, the largest run differential in a single game in league history, largest amount of runs scored in league history, largest amount of runs scored by one team in league history, and of course, Ty was the one who was casting it.
A Do-Some Team did really well. That was, one of those rookie pitchers taken. Was he a first rounder?
Do some team. I think yes, he was my guy. He was my guy to get in the top 10.
Had a
So
really good outing. Only 1 earned through 6 1/3, 4 hits, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Gigi Norrie, that was a rough outing. Only got pegged for 6 earned runs. Defense was the issue again here at Lafayette. It was Katrina Sardines that
triggered the butterfly effect.
missed 2 or 3 plays all by herself. I mean, it didn't help Nori, but I mean Nori also wasn't helping herself much out at all. Long with 7, Cartman with 3, Sims with 5. Ironically enough, it was Whiteclaw who did the best of any of them, only gave up 1 through 1 2/3.
Scottish is the one that got lit up too. He gave up 4 earned runs and
But that was towards
2.
the end of the game, I think, wasn't it? That was the last
Still,
it was.
gave up.
I mean, granted,
Still
yes,
gave it up.
still gave it up, but it was towards the end of this rope. Maybe a quicker pull next time. How many home runs? 4 home runs. Sawyer, like you mentioned, Esposito, Cooper, and Marzo. 6 of her 8 RBIs for this game. That's pretty funny.
I mean, that's why she's that far down in the order as well. Because if Cooper is supposed to sort of clean everything up, Frycheck and Sickley are supposed to get on base, and then Marzo is supposed to knock them in. I think is the mindset there.
Then we go to a battle of undefeateds for, and this was for division control. Knights were able to get the W here, 10-8. This was one-sided. I mean, granted, the Vikings scored a lot late to make the score a bit closer in the end.
And it got within one swing, to be fair.
Because they had 2 on, 2 out, down 2 with, so they could have taken the lead with the run with person at the plate. So it definitely got dicey. But really the Knights held this one, I think, pretty much from start to finish. But kind of the thing to be scared of for the Knights, you look at that Walker's game, they got up to a huge lead. Door kind of popped open with a 5-run inning, and it got close, but the Knights offense was able to put it back away for good. And kind of you see the same thing here, in a way, Knights get out to a big lead and watch it kind of slip away. Luckily enough, it was the last inning and only needed 1 more out, and they were able to get that. But kind of getting maybe not lucky, but can't be always doing that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it got really close at the end. It got really close, and again, it was the Knights' offense as usual bails them out in terms of those runs that they got in the bottom of the 8th inning were the ones that mattered in terms of making sure that they ended up not needing to go up in the bottom of the 9th. But
Shep Frank's back in the bullpen for the Knights, first time since season 3, I think. Went 2 1/3, 5 hits, 2 earned. Thick ends up getting tagged for 4 earned, and then Ship with another one. It's just that bullpen. I mean, Thick and usually although Ship has been fairly reliable, Ship was the one who he was basically their ace in season 2 when they won it all. Wait, yeah, season 2, yeah. But it's kind of showing his age, I guess is the best way to say it. And Thick really not having the stuff to be someone to rely upon. So it's just going to be interesting to see, how this bullpen holds up and if they end up, costing the Knights a game somewhere down the road. And honestly, like, you can say the same thing for the Vikings so far. It's surprising, with what Cooley's done so far this season that I guess this is the first time it's really cost them. I mean, Cooley had an inning of work, ended up giving up 3 earned runs, and that's honestly the difference when you look at it.
Yeah, these are going to be good matchups going forward. Like I think that this Vikings night matchup is going to be sort of like the template for a lot of these heroic legends matchups, where it's going to be who can find the hits against the pitching staffs, because the pitching staffs for all of these teams in this division are really good. So who finds the hits is what's going to be the biggest difference. Who finds a way to break through that, because that's the biggest variable, because the hitting is pretty much across the board really good.
And I wonder, because right now, through